I think getting the diagnosis of cancer, it is so jarring. It's important to grieve that news and to let it touch you at your deepest level, to cry. But I think it's also important to remember that cancer is not the dreaded disease that it once was so many, many years ago. The treatments that are now out are phenomenal, and the success rate and the survivor rate. I was strongly tempted to get on the internet and learn everything I could learn about breast cancer. But I decided that for every 15 minutes that I was going to spend researching cancer, I would spend 30 minutes reading the Bible, or reading devotional books or inspirational books, or praying, or talking to somebody else and getting their input and advice and counsel. So I decided to not let cancer overwhelm me. I decided to overwhelm cancer with a shoring up of an attitude that would trust God in the midst of this and not doubt Him. When I was first diagnosed with cancer, in fact, even as I went through chemotherapy, everything stopped. It's funny, I no longer felt guilty about, oh, I'm going to disappoint someone, I'm going to miss that appointment, I won't make that deadline. Forget it. People understand when you've got cancer, you just can't do the kinds of things you used to do. When I was told I would have to have a mastectomy, it was jarring. I mean, as a spinal cord injured quadriplegic, my body image is already not the best, but then to slice off a significant part of my femininity was just hard to wrap my head around at first. And I'll never forget when they finished the surgery and I was sent home, and when they removed the drains and removed the gauze and the bandages, that first day when I wheeled into my bathroom to look in the mirror, I kind of was looking down but not looking at the mirror and wondering, how am I going to handle this? Is it going to overwhelm me? What's it going to be like? And I look up and, oh, well, this isn't too bad. I can handle this. I can do this. And it was such a huge relief to not be obliterated by what I saw in the mirror, and to know that who I am as a person and my femininity was all intact. Being married to my husband 30 years, he's dealt with a lot. He's had to, quote, give up a lot in our marriage given my quadriplegia. And I wondered if losing a breast would just decimate his emotions. I wondered how he might handle it. And I was so grateful, so encouraged, so supported by my husband's response. He quoted to me this verse from the Bible in the Old Testament. It says that man looks on the outward appearance, but God looks on the heart. And he said, Joni, I love your heart. That's what I fell in love with. That was a big relief. And I was able to move forward emotionally, I think stronger because of my husband's attitude. My medical oncologist started listing off a litany of things that would happen once I began taking these chemotherapy drugs. I'd lose my hair, I'd lose my eyebrows, I'd become nauseous, my bones would become more thin and porous, I probably would have lung infections, bladder infections, on. And he gathered his things and left the office for a moment, closed the door, and I just lost it. I said to Ken, I can't do this, I can't do this, it was so overwhelming. Because I have stage 3 breast cancer, the tumor was almost 3 inches. It was advised that I should have radiation. But when we talked to my medical oncologist and talked to my radiologist, it began to be a discussion of competing risks. Because yes, if I did not undergo radiation, there would be a risk. But if I underwent radiation, there would be a huge risk to my already limited lung capacity due to my quadriplegia. So it was a tough decision. Do I do something that may end up giving cancer a free rein in my body? Or do I make a decision to safeguard the quality of life that I enjoy with lungs that have already a limited capacity? It was a tough decision, but my husband and I decided that we would not do radiation, that the chance to breathe and breathe deeply just is too precious to lose. I'm on a daily medication called tamoxifen, which has its own irritating side effects, not the least of which is a lot of water weight gain. And with that daily medication, and of course the PET scans that I regularly take, and eating right, drinking lots of water, doing some other homeopathic treatments that I think will support good health, antioxidants, anything to reduce inflammation. I think I'm doing everything I can. I'm being as good a steward of my body as I possibly can to ensure that I'll come out the other end cancer-free. That would be a blessing. When I meet other women who have lost a breast or have become ill or sickened by the chemo drugs, I know what they've been through. I know what they're going through. But I'll tell you this, a couple of times my husband and I went down to the UCLA Medical Center, and when we were at the cancer clinic there, I noticed that there were so many women who would come for chemotherapy taking the bus, taking the crosstown bus alone, and then sitting in that big oversized chemo chair for 2 or 3 hours, and then getting back on the bus and going home. And I'm thinking, I don't know how they can do that. This is a journey you don't want to make alone. When I read the statistics that 1 in 8 women will receive a diagnosis of breast cancer, that is overwhelming. We're now beginning to wake up to the reality of the overwhelming prevalence of breast cancer. Many more people are being diagnosed with it, many more women with breast cancer, and it's something that all of society, especially the church, needs to get the facts on, needs to be informed about, needs to embrace these women and their families and help them through that difficult journey, because it's a life and death struggle, and the church has some life and death answers that it can offer to families going through breast cancer. So this is something the church can and should be aware of and be reaching out to these families to provide the comfort, the consolation, and the spiritual guidance and help and support that is so necessary. I'm the kind of person who doesn't ask why too often. I did that way back when I was first injured, when I broke my neck in that diving accident that left me a quadriplegic. And the questions only led me down a very grim, dark path of despair, because you can't find easy answers. There are no easy answers. And I think what has helped me the most is just to accept the fact that life is supposed to be difficult. Life is wired to be difficult. Even Jesus in the New Testament said, in this world you will have trouble. It's a promise. We will have trouble. There comes a time where you just have to leave it with God and then get on with living. I pray even still that God will keep me free of cancer, that he will fight back and bring every resource to bear against whatever little cancer cells may yet be lurking in my body, to eradicate them so that I can enjoy the kind of strength, health, and stamina that I so enjoy right now. And I think that's a valid request for healing. But does it mean that I'll never get cancer? Does it mean that if I pray, I should jump up out of this wheelchair and no longer be a quadriplegic? No, I don't think the Bible guarantees that at all.